Let me get to Mannix, though. Well, first of all, Mannix was trending last night because he had a freezing cold tip. Boy, this is a great way to welcome Mannix in. Chris Mannix, senior NBA writer for Sports Illustrated, most recent column, there will always be a GOAT debate, but LeBron has made a compelling case that there shouldn't be. Before we get to Chris Mannix, Mannix back September 27th of last year said the following about the Lakers on this show.
I get killed every year talking about the Lakers with you because I tend to be more skeptical as I was last season. But is it not more likely that the Lakers miss the playoffs than win a championship? I think that.
Wait, this year?
That way right now. This year.
So the odds are better that they miss the playoffs than they win the championship?
I would say so, yes.
Wow. Okay. All righty. So at the time, why did you feel that way?
Well, the Lakers, despite adding Anthony Davis, were a team with myriad questions, whether it was the head coach or a patchwork roster. And look, I've been forced to eat some version of that clip for the better part of the last couple of weeks, Dan. But to those Laker fans out there, I'd like to congratulate you on all the times you tweeted and talked about and wrote about how Frank Vogel was the guy, that he was the man that was going to lead you to a championship. I would like to salute you for believing in Dwight Howard after all these years and all these teams. I would like to applaud you for saying that Rajon Rondo, after a disappointing first year with the Lakers, and by the way, nearly being replaced in February by Darren Collison. People forget a little bit about that, for believing that Rajon Rondo would be a difference maker and equalizer. Bravo, Laker fans. You are Nostradamus predicting all this stuff.
So you stand by your comments from September.
It was September. I believe it was like the second week in July, Dan, or the first week in July, while the Lakers were still trying to wait out Kawhi Leonard, when they had like unofficially 3 players on the roster, when it was Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Kyle Kuzma. We both know that winning a championship is more than just top-level talent. Now, all the Laker moves that they made, that Rob Pelinka made, they worked out brilliantly. But do not anyone sit here and tell me that you were sure about any of these patchwork decisions in September or even October.
Who deserves the most credit for the Lakers as champions this year?
You always got to start with LeBron. And not just because of the numbers and the performance on the floor, but you heard several Laker players, you heard Rob Pelinka allude to this last night, that LeBron leadership in the bubble was invaluable. And I guess you could even perceive that. His leadership in kind of patching this team together early on and making it a cohesive unit was big. And then you get down to the bubble and all the trying circumstances. To have a leader like LeBron James in that mix, I don't think you could put it, I don't think you can calculate exactly how much that's worth. So not only was he producing at an extremely high level, a ridiculously high level for a player his age at this stage of his career, but what he did off the court was clearly influential to the Lakers' success.
I'm trying to find the negative today because somebody's going to find the negative with LeBron. And I was wondering if they were going to say, well, it was an easier road in the bubble, which I don't believe, or LeBron after the game saying, I want my damn respect. Like, I'm just trying to figure out. So help me understand how us talking heads are going to spin this a different way from LeBron James and the Lakers.
I don't know how you do that. Like, it's not LeBron's fault that the Clippers fizzled out in the second round. It's not LeBron's fault that the Bucks didn't hold up their end of the bargain in getting to the finals. This isn't boxing. You play who's in front of you. You don't get to choose who your opponents are. And the Lakers did that. And, gentlemen swept their way through the Western Conference Finals and, needed 6 games to get rid of Miami. So I don't look at the schedule as you can't look at that as a negative. You can't, pin that on LeBron James. And look, Dan, I wrote last night, nothing will ever top what LeBron accomplished in Cleveland. I mean, that will always be the pinnacle of his career, not just because he brought a championship to Cleveland, but the circumstances in which he did it, to come back from 3-1 down against the, quote, greatest team in NBA history, at least in the regular season, that will always be number one. This, to me, is number two. Like this right here, what he did in this season with this group, in this bubble, in this harsh environment, and it was a harsh environment. It's not an easy place to go and win a championship. What he did there, this will rank as the second most significant team accomplishment in LeBron James' career. And anyone that tells you otherwise just has some kind of bone to pick with LeBron James.
We're talking to Chris Mannix, senior NBA writer for Sports Illustrated. His most recent column, there will always be a GOAT debate, but LeBron James has made a compelling case that there shouldn't be on James and other final masterpiece. Yeah, I don't want to get into the greatest of all time because nobody ever changes their opinion. Have you ever been around somebody where you have a discussion about this and they go, oh, you know what? On second thought, it's like politics. People just don't change their mind. People are firmly entrenched in this. I always just caution people, appreciate what you're seeing because you will not see this. He doesn't miss playoff games. He wins. He has hit more clutch shots than anybody in the playoffs in history. He doesn't miss games. He plays hard. He's averaging a triple-double at his age with what he's done. He's longevity-wise, he's the greatest player of all time, in my opinion. And, maybe Kareem, you can make that argument. But we try to fit him into a square peg, and he's a round hole. It's just he's not Michael, never be. And I don't know why I have to defend him but it feels like there are just people out there who are never going to let him in that select group, that fraternity for some reason. Why is that?
Well, I mean, everyone kind of gets into their silos, right? When it comes to this debate, whether it's Jordan, LeBron, a few people on the outside that might say Kareem or Wilt or even Bill Russell into that mix. You're right. You don't change opinions in any of these types of debates. You can point out that Jordan lost multiple times in the first round. People don't care. They always point back to LeBron's finals record and say that's proof that he's not on Jordan's level. But I'm with you. For longevity to be in his 260th NBA playoff game, to post his 28th triple-double, to do it while being the best player on the floor in his 17th season, his age 35 season, I don't know what you can come up with to dispute that. And what I wrote last night, Dan, was even if you want to say that LeBron is not the greatest of all time, there's probably going to come a point in LeBron's career where you can't say that because LeBron is not close to done. I mean, the Lakers, they're going to enter next season, assuming Anthony Davis re-signs, as a co-favorite at worst to win a championship. Then you go ahead, Dan, to the summer of 2021, and if the Lakers keep their books as tight as they are right now, they're going to have like $30 million plus in cap space to go and recruit either another max level player or a bunch of different players to fill in the holes around LeBron and Anthony Davis. So you can say 4 championships doesn't equal 6, but LeBron may not get there. He may eclipse that number before his career is said and done.
And the Miami Heat, I loved watching them during the regular season. I loved the way they played. I have newfound respect for Jimmy Butler because I didn't think he was a superstar. I thought he was a very good player, and he got a bunch of younger players to listen to him. And the other places, the other stops, that's why I think he got frustrated. I think we looked at Jimmy Butler as the problem, and, that's on me. Because I found out that he wants you to be great, and he demanded a lot. And those younger players, God, they played hard. And I can't say enough about what Riley and Spoelstra did for the Miami Heat this year and putting that and keeping it together.
Jimmy Butler and Miami were quite literally the perfect fit. You had an uber competitive player who held everyone around him to the highest of standards, joining a team with a coach and a president that had the exact same mindset. Not to say that Jimmy couldn't have accomplished this in Philadelphia. I think one of the great off-season gaffes of this century will be that the 76ers didn't make Jimmy Butler a blanket 5-year max level contract offer. That will go down probably as one of the bigger mistakes that we've seen in recent memory. But this was an ideal fit between player and team and a roster that was open to being held as accountable as Butler wanted to hold him to account to. And the Heat are going to go into next year in a similar position as the Lakers. They'll probably bring back Goran Dragic on a short-term deal, a big money deal. And then they, Dan, like the Lakers, are going to be in a position in 2021 to dangle that max contract in front of Giannis or whoever else might be out there on the open market. And you can't tell me, Dan, that the greatest audition that the Heat could have given for Giannis Antetokounmpo was how they proceeded in these playoffs. They showed Giannis on TV every night in front of him in that second round that they were a winning organization. They already had South Beach. They already had Pat Riley, his championship rings, but they showed Giannis that they could win. With this group, they could win. They could say to him, imagine what we can do if you join this team in a year plus.
When's the next season start?
At this point, I've long believed Martin Luther King Day was the earliest date. We might even see this bleed into February. In talking to a few executives about this late last night, nobody really has any idea. Like, they're playing it week to week. They know that Adam Silver wants to get fans back in the building. And if it means pushing the season a little bit further into the fall or the winter, rather, Silver might be willing to do that. If it means they can get X number of games, all in buildings, all with fans, I think that is the top priority right now. But I would not expect teams to be back into training camp before January. And at this point, it might be early to mid-February before we see an NBA season start.
Thanks for all your contributions this year, certainly from inside the bubble and outside. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you, Chris.
Bye, Lakers fans.